Welcome to the FGBC Florida Green Counties presentation. During today's presentation, we're going to provide an overview of the FGBC Green Certification programs for local governments. During today's webinar, we will provide you a comprehensive look at the certification program and provide step-by-step direction on certifying your county. We'll also take a look at how some counties have used the certification to achieve their sustainability goals. We'd also like to provide you with some valuable resources that can help you along the way. Today's panelists include myself, CJ Davila, the Executive Director of the Florida Green Building Coalition, Katrina Locke, the Sustainability and Resiliency Manager with Volusia County, Claire Lewis, the Statewide Florida Friendly Communities Coordinator with the University of Florida IFAS, and Eric Kaplan, Energy Sustainability and Buildings Manager with Manatee County. Green local government certification helps local governments function more efficiently. It helps reduce operating costs, saves dollars, creates long-term return on investment for taxpayers and citizens, effective risk and asset management, and better internal communication, less environmental impacts on the community. All these are the benefits of the certification program. Florida Green Building Coalition is the largest certifier of green buildings within the state of Florida, having just surpassed 25,000 certifications. We're unique in that we only certify projects within the state of Florida, and Florida Green certifications are the only standards developed with state-specific criteria, specifically the hot, humid climate, the environment, topography, resiliency, and natural disasters that are unique to Florida. As you can see on this map, Florida is very unique, where unlike most of the country, we do have this subtropical climate, the hot, humid climate, the hot, humid environment lends itself to a different certification than it would in Maine or in California. So as a result, our certification standard is state specific, and we do not certify projects outside of the state of Florida. FGBC has 5 development standards, and these standards are actually are useful resources as well for local governments. If you are looking to for ordinances to make homes more efficient, we do have a home standard that provides information on how homes can become more energy efficient, more water efficient, more healthy, more disaster resistant. We also have our land development standard, which oversees large development programs such as Babcock Ranch down in Southwest Florida, Lakewood Ranch in the Sarasota area, Oakland Park in the Winter Garden area, and Alice Beach in the Panhandle. This development standard is a very useful standard if your county is looking to manage large-scale developments and how to make these developments more sustainable, more healthy, more resource efficient with regards to saving natural resources. The local government standard we'll review today. We also have a commercial standard which oversees commercial buildings, hotels, large-scale manufacturing buildings. And then we also have a high-rise residential standard, mostly with regards to apartments and condos. FGBC is endorsed by the Florida Legislature, the Florida League of Cities, the Florida League of Mayors, and the Florida Home Builders Association. FGBC is a resource for local governments to go green. A local government must meet the requirements of a list of comprehensive criteria, and they earn a minimum of points. The points are divided into sections such as energy, wastewater, education, public safety, and many others. This is a commission presentation for St. Lucie County when they presented their green certification. This is Manatee County's presentation. This is the first platinum certified county presentation. And FGBC guides the local governments through the process. And most of the local governments use what we call a green team, which is a department head from each of the different category areas. And we'll go into a little bit more depth in that in a minute. One of the things that we've seen recently is a a push towards sustainability and resiliency. Moody's recently mentioned that they were going to start looking at communities that had not addressed their sustainability efforts and look to reduce their credit rating, depending on how resilient and how prepared they are for natural disasters in the future. Certification benefits. We get a lot of times we get folks asking, why should I certify? Well, the number one reason I like to say certify is that it's going to save you, it's going to make your county run more efficiently. It's going to save your taxpayers dollars. It's going to prepare you for climate change, and it's going to get you ahead of the game. However, we do poll our local governments, and some of the local governments shared with us some of the benefits of certification, such as eligibility for grants, the energy efficiency and conservation block grants. Miami-Dade was awarded over $12 million after certification. There's measurable cost savings. Orange County converted all their traffic and pedestrian signals to LEDs, saving approximately $500,000 a year. Sarasota County's administration building has decreased electrical usage by 8% since 2005, resulting in a total cost avoidance of over $718,000. Efficiencies of existing programs and procedures. City of St. Pete identified programs and projects already in place and how to preserve and build upon them. Flagler County softened the water in a chiller that was used to cool 2 buildings, allowing more water to be reused, saving 3 million gallons and $20,000 a year in city utility fees. What happens with the program is that different departments speak to different departments, and before you know it, you're finding synergy, you're finding useful resources that you may be duplicating in different areas. And so it's a way to streamline your processes. Getting back to our certification is broken down into segments or departments. We have them listed here. It's administration, agricultural and extension services, building and development, economic development and tourism, ports, marinas and boat launches, solid waste, water and wastewater. And so when you put together your green team, what you're looking for is a member from each of these departments. And what they'll do is they'll research the points that are associated with each of these departments. Yes, we're doing it. Yes, we can do it. No, there's absolutely no way we can do this. And so then you're having a meeting on a timely basis, either quarterly or monthly, and you're getting these groups of people together to discuss the different points in their areas. And then you're reviewing the points in other areas so that you can see if there is that overlay of repetition. Each of the sections is broken down into the points. As I mentioned, this is the administration section. So if you look down there, you will see some of the different points that are associated with it. One is become a member of FGBC. We also allow for become a member of USGBC, construct LEED or FGBC certified buildings, adopt a green standard as an official minimum criteria for new and renovated government buildings, participate in cities for climate protection campaign. So there's a lot of points here associated with the administration tab that another department may be able to weigh in on. So that's why it's a collaborative process. At the end, you'll add up all of your points and you'll come up with a maximum points. And then you'll have a percentage of maximum applicable points. Maximum applicable points are all of the points that would apply to your county. And then you would get a percentage of the maximum points. And so a platinum level certification would be 71% of those points, and 51 to 70, 31 to 50, and 21 to 30. So 21 would be your minimum criteria for a certification. Why FGBC? FGBC, as I mentioned before, is the leading certifier of green buildings within the state of Florida. We are recognized by the state of Florida for our green building standard. We certify more homes than any other certification entity. There are other certification programs. The most well-known is USGBC and the LEED certification, the National Green Building Standard, and Green Globes. They are great certification programs. just different. You know, if you're looking to compare buildings here and compare them to buildings across the country, you're probably looking for a nationwide program such as NGBS or USGBC. If you're looking to compare internationally, then Green Globes is the one to go with. So they all have their unique characteristics. We feel Florida Green Building Coalition is most efficient and the most advantageous to Florida based on the climate-specific criteria. Benefits of the Florida Green Building Certification: we are the largest network of certified cities and counties within the state. And so there's a nice synergy between that. Cities and counties may have some programs. So if you are a county and some cities have some programs within your county that they are doing a great job with, you can take credit for some of those programs if you are actively promoting those programs as well. So it's a really nice way to collaborate with some of your cities. Municipal synergies regarding point distribution, which I just covered. Single source third-party verification. All of our verifications are handled by a third party, and it is a single source. So when you pick up the phone, when you have a question, it's going to be the same company, the same person. So they'll be very much aware of what you're going through. Our certification is good for 5 years. You won't have to renew annually. And FGBC is a tremendous resource for local governments. We are a nonprofit, so there's a ton of online resources, and I'll get into some of those a little bit later. But when you do sign, we'll also have a kickoff meeting to answer any questions up front. And then we also have monthly committee meetings with your fellow local governments to discuss challenges and just topics that may be of interest. FGBC is, these are some of the certified counties: Volusia County, Manatee County, Osceola County, Sarasota County, St. Lucie County, Palm Beach County, Martin County, and Orange County. And with that, I'd like to introduce Katrina Locke. She's a Sustainability and Resource Manager with Volusia County, and she's going to take you through some of the items that Volusia County is taking control of.
Hi, thank you, CJ. So as CJ mentioned, I'm the Sustainability and Resilience Manager with Volusia County, and I'm going to share with you some of our water quality and conservation initiatives. So some of the projects that we're doing are protecting our ground and surface water bodies. So I'm going to start by mentioning a couple of projects that our Public Works Department are working on. There are more. And one of those is working on projects to reduce nutrient pollution from stormwater, which includes stormwater treatment systems on 2 of the canals, Gabordi and area canals, that run into our Indian River Lagoon system. And then our Water Utilities Division have improved the Southwest Regional Water Reclamation Facility, and it's an advanced wastewater treatment facility. And the project updated the technology to remove greater amounts of nitrogen and phosphorus in the treated wastewater. And the treated wastewater is then used as reclaimed water for irrigation of lawns or allowed to percolate back into the ground. And the upgrades have a double benefit of reducing nutrients in 2 categories: the wastewater treatment facilities and, of course, that wastewater treatment reuse. So low impact development is a big piece of what we've been doing, but before I get on to talking a little bit more about that, our fertilizer ordinance was adopted, and one of the projects that we use, or programs we use to promote that fertilizer ordinance, is our Be Floridian Now program. And that is a partnership with many different local governments along the Indian River Lagoon, and Miami have also become part of that partnership, and we're collaborating and sharing ideas and initiatives that we're doing to promote impacts of fertilizer on our surface and groundwater bodies. So this may be outreach, it might be specific projects or initiatives or educational programs that we're working on. And then, as mentioned, low impact development has been a big piece of what we've been working on. And one of those projects is within the Blue Springs Spring Shed. So really focusing on, the impacts of nutrient pollution and phosphorus into the Blue Springs Spring Shed. So the focus of the grant initiative that we got through DEP, so we have a DEP 319 grant for non-point source pollution education. And the focus of that grant is to provide residents with information about sources of non-point source pollution, those sources that are negatively impacting Blue Spring, and actions we can all take to contribute towards solutions. So these are also actions that can be replicated throughout the county and beyond, so within other communities as well. And they're actions that will make positive impacts on our water quality. So we've been doing low impact development workshops and forums, and our most recent forums are actually, they're all listed on our Environmental Management's YouTube channel, and there's an LID playlist on there. So if you would like to learn more about those, please go to that channel. And then Time to Change the Way We Go is a community-based social marketing campaign that we worked on, and that was designed to provide facts about the impacts of septic tank nutrient pollution, and then give people information about what they can do to reduce the pollution. And then our Save Our Springs and Rivers Water Quality Academies, they were designed to develop ambassadors, and those ambassadors are equipped with knowledge about water quality issues and solutions. And one of the things about that academy, it's multiple weeks over the course of 6 different classes, and we did actually adapt that this last year to be hybrid. So we would do the class portions online, and when we couldn't do any field trips, we did, we were obviously not doing field trips, but when we could do some field trips, we were able to social distance and provide those field trips to folks at Blue Springs State Park, which of course is the focus of the grant initiatives. And then another low impact development, more green infrastructure project that we were working on is community resilience through green infrastructure in the Spring Hill community of DeLand. Again, this is a grant funded project, and this is projects that we're working on with the community. So we're designing the projects, we're getting input and feedback from the community on those designs for those projects and ways we can develop programs and the planting programs that are associated with those programs in the community that work for the community. So again, this is a grant funded project that looked at job fair at the Turn Festival, which is an annual festival that does occur within the community. Obviously with COVID that has not happened, but on a normal year this would be a festival that happens annually in the community, and it's an opportunity for us to attend and really interact with community members. So that job fair looked at green industries and jobs for community members. We also have provided green industries best management practices training within the community, and that is training that commercial fertilizer applicators have to go through by state requirements. So we've provided that training to folks within the community. We've provided a government alliance on race and equity training for county and city of DeLand staff. The city of DeLand is one of the partners on this project. We've also been able to provide Boys and Girls Club environmental education programming. So we were able to provide some programming in 2019, and this last summer we provided an environmental programming that geared around a Resilience Academy theme. So the students not only did some classroom-based educational, but out in the field. They also visited numerous sites to learn more about resilience and impacts and things that they can do to make a change. Our green infrastructure workshops really share with the community what green infrastructure is and things that they can do on their own properties or within businesses or other sites in the community. And then we have planting projects also associated with this grant. And we're hoping that when we complete the Resilience Academy this year, this will lead to a community resilience team, which will make up of adults from the Resilience Academy, and then hopefully some of the students from the Boys and Girls Club who went through the Resilience Academy this summer. And then, this is all in addition to continuing to support and promote living shoreline projects. Next slide. So I want to really talk to you a little bit about some of the resilience initiatives that we've been working on in Volusia County. From the first project that you can see on here, which is the Sea Level Rise Vulnerability Assessment, to our 2017 Resilient Volusia Phase 1 project, which looked at critical infrastructure and impacts on critical infrastructure from sea level rise and storm surge across the east side of our county, our coastal area. And then moving on to a Regional Resiliency Action Plan, which we worked with both the regional So the East Central Florida Regional Resiliency Action Plan, which we worked with Volusia County, Volusia and Brevard counties worked together on. And this was really looking at goals, objectives, and action steps that we could take that would make our counties more resilient. And then moving from that to another plan with the two counties, which was the planning for the financial, social, economic, and infrastructure related effects of sea level rise on future hurricane and storm surge intensity. So from that regional resiliency action plan that I mentioned, we adopted by the county council, they adopted sea level rise planning curves for us to utilize within our planning projects. I think it's also important to say that, through the work that we've done, the Department of Economic Opportunity approved our coastal element for peril of flood compliance requirements. So in addition to the projects I've already mentioned, the county's also worked on Resilient Volusia Phase 2, which is the most recent project that's been completed. So where we engaged internal and external stakeholders and looked at ways in which we could identify and develop policies for adaptation action areas, those areas that experience flooding repetitively, and an assessment of both currently and future conditions would impact those areas. An assessment of infrastructure in those AAAs identified through the stakeholders that we engaged, and then also a checklist and procedural process for managing capital improvement projects. And then another project here is also with Stetson University, the Sea Grant funded project, which is optimizing the coupled human and natural system benefits for public land acquisition in the East Central Florida regional coastal regional zone. And so things that we're doing with that project is to model future conditions and other vulnerabilities, to identify barriers to habitat corridors and migration, examine open space through a resilience lens, engage stakeholders and experts to advance resilience solutions, develop specific policy and conservation land acquisition recommendations and processes to establish focus areas, and identify focus areas for adaptation solutions. And then again, moving on from the work that we've been doing, one of the things that came out of that Regional Resiliency Action Plan with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council was that we wanted to create an East Central Florida Regional Resilience Collaborative. So this is an 8-county regional collaborative with the potential for 78 cities and 8 counties to be members of this collaborative. Volusia County is represented on the steering committee of the collaborative, and I'm actually the steering committee member. We also have technical advisory committees through this collaborative, and the county is represented on numerous of those advisory committees. One of those is a greenhouse gas emissions inventory, and we are working on a regional greenhouse gas inventory through that collaborative. And Volusia County is also lucky enough to be part of a cohort which was funded through Audubon and the Nature Conservancy, and ICLEI providing the technical support to work through the cohort with students from the local community, really assisting local government staff, because one of the big issues is the capacity of staff to complete some of these initiatives. And so that's something that we're just finalizing now, is our government operations inventory. So looking at our FGBC certification history, Volusia County originally certified in 2010 and then recertified again in 2017 at the silver level. So when I was talking about the certification, I just wanted to share with you, really through certification, it promoted what we were already doing. So the things that we were already doing, but we were able to bring them all together. And able to identify initiatives and approaches we could take in addition to what we were all doing. And then also looking at ways that we can connect that into the county's Sustainability Action Plan, which was approved in 2014. So there's a huge piece of pulling more sustainability initiatives and projects together. And I think one of the things I wanted to mention too is that we did not have a green team set up, which is something that we will do in the future as we move forwards to recertify again. So I actually was instrumental in leading the recertification and the initial certification. But I was able to work with some great staff in other county departments who were willing to help, get the information gathered, put that information together, provide me with information. It is a little bit harder and it does take a little bit longer than having a green team established. But it's easy if you know which individuals in the departments you need to get information from. And it's also, looking at the sections of the certification process that CJ showed you earlier, it's easy to look at those sections and say, okay, within these specific points need to go to our human resources division, or these specific points need to go to our public works folks to ask them, for the responses to these questions. So that was, of help. But as I say, we also have a great website with lots of information, which really helped as well. And another resource, of course, is your county or city commission or council agendas. So some of the certification points is we do have a sustainability and resilience manager. We have a program called Green Volusia, within which we work on our sustainability initiatives. And we have really worked strongly with the Volusia County UF-IFAS Extension Office to provide green building education for first-time home buyer classes, looked at that Green Industries Best Management Practices program, and work through that to provide education to the folks taking those classes on our fertilizer ordinance. So to make sure that they were aware of our fertilizer ordinance. And then the Florida Master Naturalist Program, working with the extension to facilitate that program was our Explore Volusia staff. And then really as well, working with them on green building education as a whole, and working through green building education through that low impact development forums and outreach and education that we've been doing. And really ways in which we can connect programs and people, not just in those program areas, but throughout. We're always looking for those connections. And I think going through the certification process really helped to do that.
Thank you, Katrina.
Thanks.
Now we'd like to introduce Claire Lewis, who's the statewide Florida Friendly Communities Coordinator with the University of Florida IFAS.
Hi, thank you for having me. Like CJ said, my name is Claire Lewis, and I am the Florida Friendly Communities Coordinator for the Florida Friendly Landscaping Program. And today I'm going to start off the program by giving a little background on Florida Friendly Landscaping. I'm going to review some of the research. I'm going to provide some examples of how FFL is incorporated into the FGBC certification process. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, back one. It just looks a lot different. I want to start by what is Florida Friendly Landscaping Program? And the answer is that it's a science-based approach to maintaining an attractive, diverse, and more sustainable landscape. And the goals are to conserve water and protect water quality. And the mission is to educate Floridians about environmentally friendly practices and to encourage them to conserve and protect our water resources by applying Florida Friendly Landscaping principles in their landscape. And we do this by teaching the 9 principles that are listed here on this slide. I'm not going to go through each one of these principles, but if you wanted more information, you could go to our website and check that out. Next slide. So Florida Statute 373.185, what this statute does is it defines Florida friendly landscapes, and it defines them as quality landscapes that conserve water, protect the environment, and are adaptable to local conditions and are drought tolerant. It also encourages water management districts to implement incentive programs for local governments to adopt FFL ordinances. And in addition, it states that local government ordinances, deed restrictions, and covenants may not prohibit Florida friendly landscaping practices. So that's the umbrella, oops, I'm sorry, please go back. That's the umbrella over all 3 programs. So we have the Florida Yards and Neighborhoods program, which targets homeowners, gardeners, and youth. We have the Florida Friendly Communities program, which targets municipalities, builders and developers, and property managers. And then we have the Green Industries Best Management Program that targets landscape maintenance professionals. And like Katrina said, you need to be certified in the GIBMP program in order to apply fertilizer commercially in the state of Florida. Okay, now we can go into the next slide, please. Valley is part of a science-based program. We're part of the University of Florida, so everything that we teach is based in science. And I'm going to go over just a couple of the latest research projects that we have. You can advance to the next slide, please. So our team have recently completed a study that compared traditional landscapes with Florida-friendly ones. As you can see here, the front yard is designed as what we're calling a traditional landscape, and the backyard is a Florida-friendly. The traditional has 75% turf grass and 25% plant beds. It's irrigated with a single rotor zone for both the turf and the landscape beds. And the Florida friendly is, you know, the mirror image of that. It's 25% turf grass and 75% plant bed. It has water efficient irrigation installed in both the turf and the landscape beds. And it, you know, it has shown a significant savings of up to 83% of water use reduced in this, you know, in this using Florida-friendly landscaping practices. We also, we recorded the maintenance activities and other inputs into this landscape. And on the next slide, you can see that the hand weeding and the mowing were pretty much a wash. So where you might think that, you know, there was more labor associated with one or the other, they were pretty much a wash. And we would think that over time, the amount of time, you know, it takes to hand weed will go down as the plants mature. Okay, next slide, please. So, and then to help predict the impact of the program, we developed a table with the estimated savings of FFL activities. The table and rationale behind each of these assumptions can be found in the EDIS document here, AE515 on our website. Next slide, please. This table, this is a table from that document, and as you can see, we have some numbers associated with different activities. And in this one right here, the amount of water that can be saved by reducing irrigation from 3 days a week down to 2 days a week is 10,000 gallons per 1,000 square foot a year. Most residential landscapes are about 3,000 square feet is an average. So you can, you know, assume 30,000 if you did that. Another thing you might want to look at is converting spray head nozzles to multi-stream, multi-trajectory nozzles. This is a really easy fix. And with this, you can expect to save over 2,800 gallons of water per 1,000 square feet. And these heads, they allow for a slower water output with heavier droplets that allow for the soil to actually absorb the water, reducing evaporation. And so those are very efficient spray heads. You can just, you know, switch those out as needed. It's not something you have to convert your whole system. Okay, next slide, please. I'm going to briefly talk about a couple of examples that we have in communities that have implemented Florida friendly, and give you some hopefully inspirational, next slide, please, stories. So in Sumter County, the library simply replaced the annuals they had with perennials. This saved almost $3,000 a year. Perennial plants are an attractive alternative to annuals. They don't need to be replaced as often because they come back year after year. This reduces both the labor to install the plants and the water needed to establish those annuals. So that's a relatively easy thing to do in your landscape. Next slide. Ocean Hammock is a 1,000-acre community in Flagler County. Medians are notoriously a harsh environment, and the turf in their medians kept failing because of all the heat and you know, harsh conditions that they're in. So what they did with the turf is, once it failed again, they replaced it with a hardy ground cover and micro irrigation in that area. This reduced the amount of mowing and maintenance required, as well as the water use in that area. They also reduced the number of times they rotated out their annuals from 4 times a year down to 2 times a year. And then they used to hurricane cut their palms. They cut them 2 times a year. Now what they do is they only remove the dead fronds once a year. And this practice alone saved them $25,000 a year. IFAS does not recommend hurricane cutting palms, contrary to popular belief. The fronds on the tree actually help them withstand hurricanes because they are a healthier palm due to the nutrients they get from the added fronds that they have. So that's an easy one. Just don't hurricane cut your palms. Next slide, please. I'm going to talk about a few of the resources that we have available for local governments. Next slide. So we have several model language documents that are available to download and modify. You can get these from our website, and they include model covenants, conditions, and restrictions. They include guidelines for ARB boards, a model landscape maintenance contract, and an ordinance for Florida-friendly fertilizer use on urban landscapes. So those are all just available to use and download, and you can modify them to suit your needs. The next tool I'm going to talk about is the non-point source publication tool. This will be available before the end of the year. We're pretty excited about it. This tool lets you pick the educational topic that you're interested in and customize the educational materials based on what your audience is and the method of delivery. So you can select your topic. It might be from Florida friendly, it might be septics, water resources, or stormwater. You could select a subtopic, and then you select your target audience. Are you trying to reach homeowners, businesses, general public? So you can customize the message based on who you're trying to give it to. Then you can pick out what type of material you're looking for. Are you looking for a flyer or a door hanger, a social media poster? Then you select your message. And then what you do is you can customize it with, the pre-approved messages and photos. And you can also put your name and logo and website information on it. So that's coming up very soon. Next slide. We've developed several mobile web applications. The Florida Friendly Landscaping Plant Guide is available online. It has more than 400 plants available. And you can, search by, the type of plant you're looking for, or the growing conditions or native status, things like that. We also have a butterfly garden app, a bee app, a fertilizer ordinance application that tracks all the various city and county fertilizer ordinances. And it does this by using Google Maps to pinpoint the location of the fertilizer restrictions and any requirements that are in place. We also have an app on toxic plants. We can go on to the next slide. So what I'm going to do now is I want to point out some of the areas where FFL is included in the FGBC certification and the resources that we have that are available to help you meet the criteria. So the first one is enact an ordinance or policy or mandate. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a number of materials developed with model code language that you can download and use. So that, and if you had further questions on developing those codes and ordinances, we would be happy to help you with that. So you would reach out to me at the state office. So that's available. FFL demonstration gardens. The picture of on the right here is the Ocala Public Works site. It was a demonstration garden, and it's the before and after picture. The extension agent was instrumental in helping with the development of this garden. She, helped with the design and the plant selection. So if you have any questions about developing a demonstration garden, please reach out to your local extension office or us here at the state office. Government landscapes meet FFL recognition criteria. So we have a recognition checklist for new construction and one for existing municipal facilities. And this is another area where the local UF-IFAS extension agent is key. You can find your local agent by following the link here on the page, or you can contact the state office and we can help you with that as well. The process is pretty straightforward. The extension agent will set up a time to meet you on site and go through the checklist with the grounds manager. GIBMP and FFLCP certification is also listed in the FGBC certification process. GIBMP training is required for anybody applying fertilizer commercially. As we've said earlier in this presentation, it's available in person, online, by DVD, and also by Zoom. It costs anywhere from $0 to $30 per person, and the website has the full training schedule available. Florida Friendly Landscaping Certified Professional is another training that is included in the FGBC checklist. This certification was originally designed for code enforcement personnel to help them navigate the Florida Statute 373.185. But along with the code enforcement personnel, we've seen many landscape maintenance professionals seek this certification, as well as landscape architects and designers. And we feel what sets us apart, this certification from some of the other landscape certifications that are out there, is that it really emphasizes water quantity and quality. Because once again, back to our mission, we're a water quality program. Next slide. So FGBC provides credit for offering incentives for efficient landscapes. Community incentives for efficient landscapes can include things like rain barrels, compost bins, and drought-tolerant plants. UF-IFAS and FFL already offer mini rain barrel and composting classes. If you don't already have one of those in your area, please contact your local extension agent or me at the state office, and we will work with you to establish this in your area. The plant guide that I mentioned earlier has a list of drought-tolerant plants, and it's a great resource. In fact, many code requirements require that the newly installed landscapes include Florida-friendly plants. I've also included on this slide several examples of how we've worked with other counties to implement FFL incentives. The Pinellas County has the Florida Friendly Landscaping Incentives Program, or FLIP, through a 319 grant fund. This program offers money to homeowners to convert their yard to Florida friendly. Alachua County incorporated the FFL state statute into their code, and they provide help to mitigate any conflicts that may arise between homeowners and HOAs when converting a traditional landscape to a Florida friendly. And also in the FGBC certification requirements, they require irrigation systems to be maintained according to the landscape irrigation and Florida friendly design standards, and you get points for that. So that's also a tool that's available. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on other statewide initiatives and partners that we work with. One is the Fair Housing Tax Credit. So you receive 2 points for any multifamily home that is, renovated and receives Florida Friendly Landscaping recognition. We're also included in the 1,000 of Friends Florida Roadmap to 2070. Basin Management Action Plans, or BMAPs, that quantify non-point source nitrogen loading requirements, provide credit for having FFL educational programming in your area. So that's another way that we can kind of help knit all these programs together. And then we work with and support other state partners such as Florida Water Star, Florida Nursery Growers and Landscape Association, and Florida Association of Native Nurseries.
Thank you, Claire. As Claire mentioned, some of the partnerships that are associated with FGBC really open the door to some partnerships with your county, such as Florida Water Star, Florida Friendly Landscaping, and your IFAS, local IFAS agent. Those will really help you get a really good head start on your planning for your sustainability efforts. With that, I'd like to introduce Eric Kaplan. He is the Energy, Sustainability, and Building Manager with Manatee County.
Yeah, thank you for having me, CJ, and speaking on behalf of Manatee County. It was a great presentation, Claire. Really love our UFI Extension Office in Manatee, and certainly support their Florida-friendly garden program as well. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to speak on behalf of Manatee County and start with some of our highlights on the energy, sustainability, and resiliency side, a lot of which have been inspired from our Florida Green Building Coalition work over the years. And then I'm going to speak to our relationship with FGBC, past, present, and planning into the future. So some of our energy highlights for Manatee County. We recently just received approval from our Board of County Commissioners for our first official energy policy at Manatee County, which was a big deal because we were able to do a lot of this work internally throughout many of our various departments and representatives of our internal green team. We were able to add a lot of Energy Star requirements and energy efficiency language, renewable energy goals, and things of that nature into this all-encompassing policy that was unanimously approved. And we are now working to integrate that into the county's comprehensive plan, which we renew every 5 years. We are an official Energy Star partner. We've got multiple Energy Star certified buildings throughout the county. Particularly, we have 3 in our downtown area in downtown Bradenton, Florida, one being our county administration office, and 2 being our judicial center and our historic courthouse, which is all centrally located in downtown Bradenton. And we also perform many energy audits throughout the buildings using Energy Star portfolio. So we use this software to track a lot of our buildings' energy consumption, look at trends, and compare energy data throughout the years just to see what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and propose best practices. We have completed several major ESCO projects or projects with an energy savings company. 2 major ones for Manatee County was our downtown chiller plant, which serves energy efficient chilled water to downtown buildings, including our downtown administration building. Also has hookups for some other downtown private partners, so could serve further benefit for the local community there. And we saw about $100,000 worth of savings just in the installation of that chiller plant alone. We also have completed a large-scale water efficiency project at our county jail, which was a large-scale kind of plumbing renovation to save water throughout all the plumbing operations throughout the jail, which was a big savings as well. And we also have 2 solar arrays throughout Manatee County. We've got one in our Robinson Preserve Nature Preserve Park, and then we've got a rather large array in our Child Protection Services building. And we are working on studies to hopefully incorporate some other solar arrays throughout the county as well. Next slide. So moving to some of our sustainability related highlights, we've worked with the local University of South Florida several times, but over the last couple of years, we've had a couple of primary collaboration projects with their Community Sustainability Partnership Program, and that is with the Battelle College of Global Sustainability. We have conducted a solar energy feasibility study. This is scanning pretty much all Manatee County owned buildings and completing a feasibility study for all of these buildings just to see which are equipped to hold solar, what would be worth it, what would come with a greater ROI, and things of that nature. And we're able to kind of learn some of our buildings and propose them to our different departments. And some of those projects are in the works as we speak right now. And we also were able to complete the county's first greenhouse gas inventory. And this was collaboration between our group and USF. And it was specific to just Manatee County government operations. So we looked at our transportation and our utilities, our public works operations, our energy consumption, and much more to create this greenhouse gas inventory, which we hope to elaborate on further in the future. But it was good to have that groundwork laid with this partnership with USF. We also, as I mentioned, have a great relationship with our UF IFAS Extension Office. Work very closely with them with many different projects. Some to note was a recent food systems directory GIS map that we just created in collaboration with UF-IFAS Extension Office. This was able to pretty much map out all of our local agricultural services throughout Manatee County to showcase kind of the local agricultural services to the community, whether it be local farms, farmers markets, aquaculture areas, and et cetera, much more. And this is able to kind of broadcast to the public, but also so the public can learn about the different services that our local agricultural community provides that they may not know. And so hopefully gather more support for our local agricultural community. And we also are working on a community compost project. This is at a local, used to be a local farm. It's a property that Manatee County has recently taken over. And we are hopefully working with our Parks and Natural Resources team to develop it into kind of a sustainability educational center with local gardening, some crop vegetation, and a community compost project that we can invite members of the community to participate in and to learn further about compost and the benefits of making your own compost. We do have internal county committees specific to sustainability. We have got a good partnership with our Manatee County School Board. We are on both their environmental and energy subcommittees. One of the solar array projects that we researched in partnership with USF was specific to one of the schools throughout the school board. It was Nolan Middle School, which also serves as our county's only special needs hurricane shelter. And they are now working on getting solar on top of the rooftop at that school. So really a great benefit of that study and a good partnership with the school board. And as we mentioned, and this is really thanks to the work with FGBC, we have an internal green team. And this was created when we were first applying for our first FGBC certification. And there's a rep from every department, whether it be ours with energy sustainability, property management, parks and natural resources, public works, public utilities, all the different departments have a representative part of this green team. And so we're able to collaborate together, meet, speak about different initiatives that we want to work on throughout the county, in addition to helping kind of organize all of the initiatives that we may not know, because sometimes there can be silos throughout local government. And this helps break those down and learn about the different initiatives we're doing so we can do things like become certified with FGBC. And what has also spun out of this green team was our Earth Day celebration that we do every year. Next slide. Now speaking to specifically some of our resiliency highlights as a county, when the peril flood was enacted a couple of years ago, we've started our work on the resiliency and sea level rise kind of mitigation efforts for the county. We created our county's climate adaptation portal, which we're able to do internally. I do have a link. It's mymanatee.org/climate for anyone who wants to check it out. It's really an amazing tool that we're able to develop internally that shows really what the issues that we're facing as a county in the face of climate change and sea level rise. Particularly, we have a sea level rise inundation mapper, and this mapper shows you what sea level rise impacts will look like throughout different years of time or throughout different levels of sea level rise. So you can look at, you know, anywhere up to 2050 just to see what the projections, the mid-level projections of sea level rise are throughout the county, or you could see what 1 foot sea level rise looks like, 2 feet all the way up to 5 feet, and kind of interact with it that way. So it's a good visual, it's a good GIS map that really can show you what the impacts really look like. You know, it's easy to talk about, but it's much better to really show it visibly, especially if you live on the coastal areas. You can see just where the water level rise might actually impact. It certainly is a lot more alarming that way. So we're able to use NOAA data for that mapper, and are really proud of creating that. And that was thanks to the introduction of the Peril Flood Act throughout all Florida counties. We also have a strong partnership with our regional planning council, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. We just recently completed 2 projects in collaboration with the RPC. One is called the Regional Resiliency Action Plan with many Tampa Bay partners. We're one of many counties and cities throughout the Tampa Bay region that all collaborated on this project. And the idea behind this was to create, as it says, a regional resiliency action plan. So an actual plan or policy with all of our different inputs, because we all have different kind of geography and different industries, and we're able to really kind of come together to put a lot of language into this one policy so we could all be on the same page. And the idea is once we're done with this, we're able to bring this to our governmental leaders and then adopt them within our own plans as well. So it's really a great collaboration effort. It's good to learn from each other and just see what everyone else is dealing with and what everyone feels is a priority. And that way, when we develop our plans, again, there aren't silos between the different counties and cities throughout the Tampa Bay region. We're all kind of on the same page. We also just completed a solar siting analysis tool project with RPC. This was also a collaboration project with NREL, which is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, who is a partner of the Department of Energy. And the idea behind this project, we were one of 4 partners locally for this, is we worked together to create a tool that helps cite different locations for solar and gives basically a numerical value in the form of resiliency. So it gives a resiliency benefit to project A, B, or C that you might be looking at depending on the building. So not only are we always looking for, of course, financial ROI when it comes to a solar project, but this tool allows you to look at resiliency impacts as well, particularly to the neighboring communities, what a solar project over here or, a solar hub over there could do for local communities, whether they be low income, or what it could do for housing, or what it could do for resiliency of certain buildings that you want to keep up in face of a storm. All of those different type of benefits, we were able to create a numerical value to and put it into this tool. So if you pick a building, you're able to work all the way through this spreadsheet and come up with a value at the end. And so it's a good decision-making tool. And it was a great collaboration project. We're really proud of that. And we also have under energy sustainability, the county's UAS drone program, which is fairly unique to Manatee County. Not many counties, municipalities have their own kind of robust drone program. So we're very proud of this program here. We do a lot of different things with our drones. We have about 30 plus drone pilots that are certified, Part 107 certified pilots throughout the county, all throughout different departments. And we do a lot of different things. I mean, we certainly do, aerial photography and things of that nature. We do disaster monitoring and post-disaster debris scanning and things of that nature, but we're also able to do thermal building inspections, which does help us on the sustainability and building side, seeing how well equipped our buildings are, if we're getting water intrusion, how energy efficient they are, all of that stuff we're able to do with drone technology. And we've also been really using them lately, the past couple of months, for some environmental impact monitoring. For those who may not know, we had a kind of a wastewater disaster spill in Manatee County. This was at one of our former phosphate mines that has since been retired, but had been sitting there kind of being monitored for years. And unfortunately, the liner with all the wastewater breached, and there were, hundreds of thousands of gallons of wastewater that was released. And because of that, it was a big issue. It was a big worry for the whole Tampa Bay area. We were really trying to monitor this private company, making sure they were doing all the things that they could do to mitigate this issue. And so we were out there 24/7 for at least 7 to 10 days, just flying drones to and from, monitoring the release point to make sure it didn't all just kind of implode on itself, which fortunately it did not. We were able to mitigate the issue the best we could. And a lot of that monitoring was thanks to our drone program. And we are also currently monitoring the red tide outbreak that we've been seeing in the Tampa Bay region. It's been kind of all up north and south along the coast. And we've been going out a few times a week to monitor the patterns and see the flow of the red tide and the algae blooms. So we've been thankful for the drone program for those reasons. Next slide. So moving on to our partnership with the Florida Green Building Coalition. Manatee County's got a good history with FGBC. We did submit our first application in 2012 and we're able to achieve a gold certification, which is certainly a great feat. And for those who don't know, the recertification process is every 5 years. So in 2017, we made a second attempt, and instead of wanting to recertify with gold, we made the attempt to shoot higher and succeeded, and were able to achieve platinum certification, which is the highest level with FGBC. And we were the first entity in the state of Florida to achieve platinum certification. So this was really an amazing feat for Manatee County. Really nice feather in our cap. Really, we've got still to this day posters and signs that say the platinum certification with FGBC all over. So it's a sense of pride really throughout the county, throughout our leadership. And it's something that really reflects the county's efforts that we're making towards sustainability and resiliency. So we're really happy to achieve that in 2017. And as we are approaching the 5-year mark, we are now working on the recertification process with, of course, the goal to maintain that platinum certification. And as I mentioned before, this is a multi-departmental effort. This will be all the leaders of our county's green team coming together to work on this. So again, we will have reps from every different department throughout the county to basically ensure that they're still doing all of the same sustainability measures that they were doing before, adding additional ones that we might have been doing over the past 5 years, which I know my team has quite a few to add, and really to kind of collaborate and make sure, we're still on the same page and we know what everyone's doing. So not only is it great to work towards achieving this recertification, but also just it helps our sustainability team know what we're doing as a county, know what parts of natural resources are doing, and things of that nature. So really, it's a win-win for us going through this process. So yeah, next slide from this, perfect. So to speak kind of to some of our green achievements that we've made from FGBC, there's been a lot of improvements for the county and just overall achievements and goals that we've set because of our FGB certification. Again, we do a lot of energy and water consumption tracking via Energy Star portfolio because of our FGBC certification. We were not doing that prior, but it's something that we've developed since and have been really elaborating on over the years to make it better. We've now got official energy policy. We've got a water reduction plan. Also, as a result of our FGB certification, we've created what we call our preferred building and materials manual, which really is a great organizational tool for our building side of the house, our buildings and construction, which of course really should have a high sustainability focus as well. So within this manual, we've got a lot of green language. We've got Energy Star product recommendations, listings of our Energy Star certified buildings. We build and renovate all of our buildings to a LEED Silver designation. We don't get it certified, but it is the level that we build to, which is a great kind of mandate that we have throughout the county. And then we also encourage and really require in a lot of ways the use of EPDs, or what's environmentally friendly building products. Next slide. Some other achievements we have throughout the county, our utility side of county landfill has a great program where they convert a lot of their methane gas to energy. So as we know, landfills are a very high producer of methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas. And it slowly, naturally leaks out. And, you see on landfills, you've got flares and things to try to burn it off. Well, we've got a system internally that we use a lot of that methane to recycle and use as energy conversion for the landfill itself. So really an amazing program they have out there, highly sustainable. And the start of it was really kind of ahead of its time. We've got a community brownfield program that our neighborhood services department offers. Really, we are able to provide funds and grants to local neighborhoods and communities and particular areas of, brownfields or lands that have been forgotten about that you want to beautify or, become more sustainable and just bring it back to life. So that's the goal of that program. We've got a county mobility plan for 2035 that we're gradually working on to shift towards more sustainable and equitable transportation options. A lot of our bus routes are becoming a lot more efficient to particular neighborhoods throughout the county. We put a lot of solar and a lot of renewable energy sources on our bus stops themselves to promote that. We've increased a lot of our biking routes throughout the county, particularly in areas that you couldn't go from A to B on a bike. That we want to change that. We want every citizen to be able to get to the necessities throughout the county in a way that you don't just need a car. So that's the goal between the County Mobility Plan for 2035. Our County Parks and Natural Resources Department does a lot of good work. We've got a lot of preserved land throughout Manatee County, mostly along the shoreline, but we've got a lot of acreage of preserves, probably more so than many other counties throughout the state. Luckily, we're able to kind of keep a lot of that preserved, and a lot of it serves as a natural buffer and mitigator for sea level rise and storm impacts for the county and the county citizens. We do a lot of living shoreline work in those preserves, a lot of planting mangroves and creating that type of ecosystem environment, and also creating carbon sinks, which, as we know, can capture carbon in the air and serve as kind of a greenhouse gas reducer naturally. So our Parks and Natural Resources team focuses a lot on those type of efforts throughout our county parks and preserves. We do have many what's called solar-powered big belly trash compactors throughout all of our parks, which sounds funny, but what they are really automatic trash compactors throughout every public park that is powered via solar. And what it does is it compacts the trash more, so we can be a lot more efficient with our waste consumption, a lot more efficient with our waste team and our garbage trucks driving to and from, which use a lot of gas and emit a lot of pollution themselves. So the solar powered trash compactor is able to reduce the waste quite a bit, and it sends an automatic alert when it's ready to be picked up. So not only does it make us more efficient in our waste, it reduces transportation from our trash pickup trucks and things of that nature, and it's solar powered. And we also, throughout the county, particularly on our energy policy, and have the encouragement of providing more solar research, whether it be partnerships with USF or our Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, to encourage more solar research. And several of our counts throughout the county are partners with FPL Solar Together program. And the idea behind that program is for buildings that you don't have particular solar arrays, or you can't quite do it. There's a lot of older buildings in Manatee County that have HVAC systems and piping and things of that nature on the rooftops that just can't sustain solar panels. We're able to kind of deviate from that and use the massive solar fields that FPL is starting to install, and say that we want to dictate a certain percentage of our bill or 100% of this account from solar power. And so you pay a little bit up front, and you're supposed to receive the benefits in 5 to 7 years from that. So we've got quite a few accounts on the Solar Together program as well.
Thank you, Eric. So one of the items with regards to Florida Green Building Coalition is that we are a nonprofit, unlike many certifying entities. All of our policies and standards and reference guides and checklists are free to the public. So all you'd have to do is visit our website, www.floridagreenbuilding.org, and you'll be able to scan our standards and policies, our reference guide, and our checklist application tool. The checklist application tool is important because it outlines what the different points are and what's needed for certification. So if you've got a question as to how far are we from certification, you can pull that spreadsheet up, you can run through, and you can see if you're doing those items or if there's something that you can maybe do, and you can kind of get a sense of where you're at with regards to certification. If you didn't want to certify, and you still wanted to be a little bit more green, it's still a great resource for you. You can still visit the checklist and say, hey, can we do this? What about this? It may give you some ideas in terms of how to become more sustainable. What is the cost? The cost is based on the population of your county. So if you are under 20,000 residents, it'd be $3,000, 20 to 99, 99 is 4,000, 100,000 to 200, 5,000, and anything over 200,000 would be $6,000. As I mentioned, our website, this is an overview of our local governments page. You would get there on our website, you'd go to certifications, local government. And as you can see here, these are all of the resource documents, as I mentioned. This is our reference guide, our standards, and our checklist application tool. The reference guide gives you a breakdown on terms that you may not be familiar with. What is a HERS index rating? It'll actually spell out exactly what the term is, what it's used for, and it breaks down point by point what specifically we're asking for, why it's important, and what the points associated with it are. At the end of your registration, you will have a section here where you would fill out the information. This is how you would register your project. So a minimum of $500 registration fee is due with the application, and then you would pay your certification at the end once you've submitted all your documents and we have confirmed the point distribution. Next steps. In terms of certification, you want to establish a coordinator. Many folks do not have a sustainability director that's their primary job. So you want to recruit somebody that's going to lead the effort. As Eric mentioned, and put together a team. This makes it a little bit more easy for the coordinator if you're putting together a team of department heads in each of the departments to ensure that you're not having to look at each of those items. You're putting the items specifically with the department head who's very familiar with those items, so that you're looking at this as a collaborative approach. As Eric mentioned as well, one of the biggest feedbacks we get from counties is that it opens up the discussion amongst departments. So you're not doing it independently. You're looking at things from a countywide perspective in terms of what can we do, what are we doing, and where can we go. As I mentioned earlier, if you go to our website, you can print out the application page, fill that out and register with your $500 deposit, and you are registered. Once you register your project, we do advise a kickoff meeting. The kickoff meeting would be with FGBC, with your coordinator, and with our third-party certification. We recommend that you at least go through your checklist first to ensure that there are any questions. Some of the questions may be, will this program count? What kind of submittal are you looking for to verify that we are doing this program? And so those kind of questions are what we want to answer during the kickoff meeting, so that once you start your certification process, you have all those questions answered. And then once you have a good sense of what your verification forms and documents are going to look like, how to transport them to us, you're ready to submit for your certification. At that point, you would submit the documentation for each of the points that you're claiming, and then our third-party certifier would review the application, and then they'll get back to you with any questions or additional information that's being requested. During this stage, the third-party certifier will make recommendations to you in terms of, have you looked at this? Have you done this? Also clarify anything that you may be missing. So this is a critical stage. Once you are satisfied with the scoring that the third-party certifier has come up with for the project, you would say that that's sufficient, and you would acknowledge that that is where you want to be. At that point, you would just pay the certification fee, and then we will go ahead and schedule your certification. For the certification, we usually do a presentation to your County Board of Commissioners and recognize all of the work of the Green Team, as well as all of the elected officials who provided the leadership to move the certification forward. I know that this presentation had a lot of information, so if there are any questions or if any additional information that you would need, please feel free to give us a call at the phone number here, 407-777-4914. And you can also visit us at floridagreenbuilding.org. Thank you. I wanted to thank all of the panelists today for their information and their expertise in creating a more sustainable, more resilient Florida for all of its citizens. So with that, I'd like to thank you guys and thank you for attending today. Thanks.
Are you interested in going green? The Florida Green Building Coalition is the leading certifier of green residential and commercial construction, land developments, and local governments in Florida. Our mission is to promote a state of sustainability with environmental, economic, and social benefits through regional education and our Florida-specific certification programs. For more information on our low-cost Florida Green Certification programs, visit the Florida Green Building Coalition at floridagreenbuilding.org.